Did you know that there are several unused status effects in Dead by Daylight? One of them is called Vision, and it's sort of like the opposite of the blindness effect. According to the DBD Wiki, this status effect is an unused buff exclusively applied to survivors that simply increases the range of your aura reading abilities, so I guess something similar to the open-handed perk. Furthermore, another unused effect is called Hearing. Players suffering from hearing have their audio muffled and hear a tinnitus-like whistling sound. Now, even though this effect technically doesn't appear on the status HUD as an active effect, it practically has the same properties that Firecrackers, Flashbangs, the perk Knockout, and the Disfigured Ear add-on for the Hag have. Similarly, another debuff by the name of Sleep Penalty also exists in the game. Survivors suffering from the sleep penalty take longer to be woken up from the dream world by other awake survivors. Once again, similar to the last one, this status effect technically doesn't show up on the side like, for example, Exposed or Mangled. However, it is not an unused effect, as this is a base mechanic when playing against the Nightmare. Speaking of status effects, remember that time during DBD's 6th anniversary event when the invitations would sometimes give you the ability to endure any stun? Well, according to the DBD Wiki, this effect is also called Endurance, so technically this is one of the few status effects in the game that can be applied to both survivors and killers, the other ones being Blindness, Haste and Hindered, which is also something that I personally find quite strange. What's up everyone, my name is Sashko and this is a part 3 of the most obscure / useless facts from DBD's history. Last time we looked at Visceral Cankers, unreleased maps and perks that changed their icons, while today we're going to be taking a look at secret unused offerings, a work in progress prototype of the Crotus Prenn Asylum map, weird perk designs and much more. So without any further ado, let's continue with the actual video. What you're currently seeing on screen is a work-in-progress version of the main building of the Crotus Prenn Asylum map. Apparently, this map was being worked on ever since Dead by Daylight's beta, and at that time, as you can see, the actual building still only consisted of a couple of untextured meshes. However, many of the hallways, rooms, holes, and even the room on the second floor were already there. Moreover, many of the pallet locations, window vaults and staircases had also already been designed, except for, I guess, this vault right here, which thankfully got changed into a pallet for the actual live release of the map, since to be honest it looks pretty damn strong. Even these little areas right here were already there, and also the generator and the chest in the room on the second floor as well. But something I've purposefully avoided talking about is that this is not the atmosphere of the Crotus Prenn Asylum realm. Instead, this is actually the fog for the Coldwind Farm realm. Not only that, but in this prototype the texture for the ground, the other assets such as the different jungle gyms, everything is a part of the Coldwind Farm realm. So were the developers planning for the Asylum to be part of the Coldwind maps? Or was this just a placeholder area where they could freely design the main building? Personally, I'm pretty sure it's the second one, since the general lore of DBD's maps in relation to the killers was already fairly well thought out. But still, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Most DBD players know that currently there exist 4 so-called reagent offerings that, depending on the rarity, either increase or decrease the amount of fog that is present in the trial grounds. So for example, the common clear reagent reduces the thickness of the dark mist by -50%, while the very rare murky reagent increases it by +75%. These facts are generally pretty well known. However, something that many people in the community are not aware of is that in the game files, for each of the 4 reagent offerings, there exists an unused vial equivalent of the same name. So for example, this is a clear vial, this is a faint vial, this is a hazy vial, and this is a murky vial. Now, the only information we have about these are the actual icons for them, so it is unknown or at least unclear if these vials, when or if implemented in the current Dead by Daylight, would have the same or different effects as their corresponding reagent counterparts. Now, if these were to have the same effects as the reagents, wouldn't that mean that at some point during the game's early development stages, these vials were intended to replace the reagent offerings? Personally, I don't even know what to speculate since there are literally so many possibilities. Perhaps these have something to do with the Moon Bouquet offerings, which were completely retired from the game in the 2.3.0 patch. Or maybe in some way they are connected to the Blight, since he has a add-on called Rose Tonic, which I don't know about you, but to me it bears a striking resemblance to the Vial offerings. I really don't know, this is all just speculation on my part. Speaking of offerings, did you know that there is also an unused offering rarity in the game files? These are called spectral offerings and they have a distinct bluish tint. This is literally the only information we have about them, we really don't know anything else. Many players know about and have heard Michael Myers' beta chase music. However, most people have probably never heard of or even knew that during the Stranger Things PTB back in September of 2019, the Demogorgon actually had its terror radius theme changed twice. Take a listen to the third layer of the first PTB version. And now the actual chase music. Honestly, to me this sounds vaguely inspired by the Shapes chase music, especially with those harsh string attacks. Now, this version of the Demogorgon's chase theme was only in the original PTB for a single day, before it was switched out for the second theme in PTB 3.2.0a. Now, in that one, the third layer remained relatively similar to the first one, however the fourth layer, meaning the actual chase theme, was made to sound vaguely familiar to the current chase music. Sometime after the actual live release of the Stranger Things chapter, all of the Demogorgon's layers were changed to how they are today. But you know how all killers in Dead by Daylight currently have the same chase theme from both the killer's and the survivor's perspective? Well, originally the Demogorgon had a different chase theme depending on whether you were playing as or against him. This is the chase music that played from the survivor's side. Pretty standard stuff, right? This is the music that all players are used to at the moment. But just check out the chase music from the killer's perspective. This is kinda weird, since the killer released shortly after the Stranger Things DLC, that being the Oni, also featured two unique chase themes for both the killer's and survivor's side. Sadly though, I believe that during Dead by Daylight's 4th year, this feature was removed and has never returned since then. A lot of players are aware of the fact that the original Calm Spirit and Spies from the Shadows had pretty odd designs. However, there was an even weirder design principle that was actually commonplace during the early days of Dead by Daylight's existence. If we take a look at, for example, the original description for the Balanced Landing perk, you can actually see that, believe it or not, the speed boost was exclusive to the 3rd tier of the perk. And the first 2 tiers only reduced your stagger after falling. No One Escapes Death, or NOED for short, also worked in a similar way in the sense that the insta-down attacks were only able to be performed if you had leveled up the perk to tier 3. Furthermore, Adrenaline also had quite confusing effects. For example, you wouldn't get healed from the dying state if your perk was not tier 3, and also at tier 1 the duration of the speed boost was only 3 seconds compared to the usual 5. Also, what exactly did Shadowborn even do at tier 1, except for literally give you like 2 pretty significant downsides and only a 5% clearer vision? What do you mean your field of view is not wider than normal? Isn't that supposed to be like the main part of this perk? But anyways, this was part 3 of the most obscure facts from DBD's past. I guess this is kind of turning into a series now, so there's that. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new from it. If you did, then make sure to let me know by leaving a like, and also I would be glad if you considered subscribing as well. Anyways, thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!